Welcome back to another weekly roundup of cloud gaming news brought to you by yours truly. Remember, if you want to stay up to date with all the latest in cloud gaming, be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, and if you enjoy the content, be sure to give the video a like, it really helps the channel out. But for now, let's jump into the news. First up in Stadia news, we have some long-awaited improvements to the Stadia Android app. Firstly, it took us 7 months to get here, but we finally have wireless controller support for Android devices. This improvement coming not long after Stadia introduced wireless controller support for the web application, so it was a move most of us saw coming, but I just don't think it's a move any of us thought would take 7 months. Alongside that move, which may push more people to try Stadia on their phone in a controller setup like this, I'm sure they would have got tired of launching their games in this orientation. But yes, once again, that has been the reality for the last 7 months. So in this recent Android update 2.23, they have also introduced landscape mode for the Stadia application. So yes, you can now launch your games like a civilized gamer. So I'm interested to hear from you with the small iterative changes which Stadia has been making to their Android application. First support for unofficial devices and now wireless controller support. Does this push you to want to try the service out on your phone? I was going to say on the go, but you know, we're still not going anywhere. So on your phone, on the sofa. Let me know in those comments down below. Moving swiftly on to GeForce Now, do we get to talk about something cool this week? New games? Publishers returning? Instagram filters. It's, they added Instagram filters. But no, I'm just being sarcastic. I'm British, it's our main export. So the feature being added to NVIDIA's GeForce Now is called Freestyle. It's a feature which had previously existed in the NVIDIA GeForce Experience application for PC gamers, but it will basically allow you to apply one of their 15 available filters to any one of up to 100 games which are currently supported, and I'll leave a link in the description to that full list of supported games. So yes, while I was being sarcastic, I can see kind of from a creative aspect how it might be interesting to revisit an old game, an old favorite, with just a new look applied to it. Alternatively, if you're less worried about the performance of your game and just want to live every single detail, then the detail filter does seem to get some impressive results. Or if you're an absolute monster, then, you know, this. Next, from the world of Project xCloud, I wanted to quickly touch on this story because on its surface, it seems kind of clickbaity, and I saw a lot of news outlets kind of just phrasing it as Phil Spencer hates Project xCloud. So in a recent Game Lab conference interview, Phil Spencer commented on Project xCloud and how it fits into their future strategy, stating, "We're building this capability to enable you to go play the games you want to go play, but not as a replacement to where you go play them today." I don't think the highest fidelity place to go play a game is going to be streamed from an Azure data center or anybody's data center anytime soon. Which, to state the obvious, clearly from that statement, Microsoft just isn't putting all of their eggs in one basket. They're not saying Xbox Series X, that'll be the last console we do. It's all streaming all the time after this. Phil was just stating that the xCloud service is supposed to complement their existing offering and just allows players the flexibility to play how and where they want. Moving on, we're into a new month. To my friends in the States, happy 4th of July. I was actually supposed to be there right now, sitting by a lake, drink in hand, waiting for the fireworks. But you know, it's fine because I'm here. But new month does mean new games. So as always, I'll try and point you towards free games wherever I can find them. So first up on that list, if you are a Stadia Pro subscriber, the new games added to Stadia this month include Crater, which we had discussed in previous videos. That has launched alongside the state share feature with Stadia. I actually didn't have a full understanding of this game before it came out. I knew that it was kind of sandboxy, but didn't quite make the comparison to kind of PlayStation's Dream, where it gives you the tools to build your own games within their platform, which is kind of an interesting offering for Stadia. One of the things I'm interested to see is if they get hit with the same kind of copyright issues that Dreams did when people started recreating their favorite Nintendo games, for example, in the Dreams platform. Nintendo don't take no shit. But as well as Crater, we also got Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom and West of Loathing. Coming up on the Epic Game Vault, we have Conan Exiles and Hue. Hue I've actually played before, and in its simplicity, would actually really highly recommend. It's a good game. If you're an Amazon Twitch Prime subscriber, we have Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, Grip Combat Racing, Dark Devotion, and Dear Esther. And of course, the console battle, PlayStation Plus versus Xbox Gold. Who wins July? First up for PlayStation, they have NBA 2K20, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Erica, which I'd never heard of before, but looked into. It's actually kind of a cool interactive thriller movie, which you watch, make decisions, and determine the outcome. Pretty interesting stuff, especially for free. Might want to go check it out. And then over on Xbox, we have World Rally Championship 8, Dunk Lords, Saints Row 2, and Juju. So this is always a fun one. Let me know in the comments down below which one of the consoles did better this month. And finally, let's finish up on some Shadow news. So I want to link to a community post in the description down below from Shadow's iOS developer who commented on the recent WWDC 20, which is the Apple Worldwide Developer Conference 2020. So a shout out to Thomas from Shadow, who's explained how some of the announcements this year will make a big impact to the way you experience Shadow on iOS devices. So as I said, I'll link to the full article in the description down below, but these were some of the key takeaways. Firstly, with new iOS 14, iPad OS 14, and tvOS 14, Apple have introduced full mouse and keyboard support. Now, this is something which is currently available in beta on Shadow at the moment, but Thomas has stated before this official Apple support, it's something that was slightly hacky on their side. Not only will this update make using your peripherals on Shadow iOS setups much easier, but the update also includes mouse cursor lock, something which is desperately needed to play FPS games. Alongside traditional peripheral support, with this announcement, Shadow will also be able to support trackpad inputs for the new iPad keyboards, which is pretty cool because you could essentially just take your entire Shadow setup with you with just this thing. Next, if you're using an iOS setup and you're currently testing the beta mouse support, you'll know that it works with, left and right click. But those are all news, so with this official full mouse support from Apple, you'll be able to use all buttons on all mouses, and that even includes this monstrosity. Moving on, big news for gamepad support for iOS. Historically, this was one of my least favorite features of iOS, back when you could only use MFI supported peripherals. So those were controllers with a special Apple certification, MFI made for iPad, iPod, iPhone. But essentially what you found is companies pushing out these super cheap, crappy controllers, but working very hard to get that certification. As soon as they got that, you were bottlenecked into using something with that certification, so they bumped the price up to like $100. This is something which has slowly improved over time, but with a further announcement in this year's WWDC 20 for further gamepad controller support, Shadow should be able to support all controller inputs for iOS, whether you're using an MFI controller, Xbox, PlayStation 4, or even just a crappy third-party controller. Not only that, but they should also be able to support the PlayStation 4's trackpad input, any extra flappy paddle buttons on the back of controllers, and even controller vibrations. And lastly, Apple noted support for performance-intensive apps and games. So on this one, Shadow will be doing some further research to see if this support they're talking about can be used to further improve the streaming quality of Shadow on iOS devices. Obviously, work will be required from Shadow to implement these new features into their iOS build, but it's safe to say the future of gaming on iOS devices on Shadow is looking extremely bright. But that's all from me, so of course if you enjoyed the video and found it somewhat helpful, a like rating would be appreciated. If you have not already, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications. Hopefully everyone's still staying safe out there, and as always, I shall see you in the next one.